Hello, hi, Login. Thank you for having me today. It's good to be here. My name's Aaron Jones. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Yepic AI, and we're focused on generative video with an extra focus on real-time video. And this technology really is transforming the world as we know it. If you've been, online in the last 12 months, you would have seen some news about generative AI and all the crazy things that are happening. In this presentation today, we're just going to go quickly through, first of all, the key drivers, mainly the technology drivers that are accelerating this so fast. And then we're going to look at how this is helping humanity today and how it could help humanity in the future. And third stop on our tour will be how it can help your business. So without further ado, let's get started. So the three key areas are the algorithms that are being used to develop these models, the dataset size, and the ever-increasing compute. And these three areas together are like the super stack that's accelerating everything so fast. If you look at this graph here, what you can see is that every 2 years from like 1950 to 2011, the amount of compute required to train these systems has doubled. But in 2010, we had this interesting development where we call it the deep learning era, where people created the thing called ImageNet. And ImageNet was a groundbreaking paper that worked in a completely different way and was quickly followed by something else called AlexNet, which was named after the guy that made it. The guy was called Alex. And these two developments gave birth to this new era where instead of doubling the compute every 2 years, it started to double every 3.5 months. And this crazy cycle of evolution, I guess you could call it, started to happen, where researchers were collaborating on the same sort of problems, and they were collaborating on different sorts of problems in the same way. And this gave birth, at the same time as GPUs becoming more available, to this era that we're now in, the large language era. You've probably heard the term LLM in the news quite a lot recently, large language model, ChatGPT. And the thing that's really made this possible is this paper from Google. And I'm rushing through this, guys, but I think it's a short summary, but we'll get there in a sec. Attention is all you need. And this paper was a real breakthrough because it created this thing called a transformer. And transformers were just 200 lines of code that could turn almost anything into essentially a language. Images into a language, text into a language, video and audio into a language. And the great thing about languages are that they can be translated. So all of a sudden, the field of robotics, if they were using transformers, could collaborate with the field of NLP, natural language processing. And they could collaborate with the audio guys, the AI audio guys. And all the fields of AI started to merge into one sort of stream. And before, you'd have like a 1-2% increase in one area, building. And it didn't really affect robotics or text-to-speech or any of the other areas of AI. But transformers transformed the industry, pun intended. So all the industry together was moving much, much faster, which gave birth to large language models. And the data sets were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And size really does matter. ChatGPT is 175 billion parameters. The fourth version is 1 trillion parameters. So all the results that we're seeing right now in the public domain are the result of years and years of growth, and it's accelerating. In fact, the models have increased in size by 10 times every year for the past 10 years. So this trend that we're currently seeing is going to accelerate. But with these new big data sets come big problems. This is a research paper that came out recently where Google and DeepMind and OpenAI and a few other institutions were analyzing the research they'd done and the capabilities that were being developed. And they found that these models were all of a sudden doing things they weren't trained to do. One example is Persian Q&A. Another example is advanced arithmetic. They hadn't trained the models to do these things. There came a certain point in the training where these things have become so big, they were just learning things they'd never been told about. And just last week, I heard someone from Google saying that they're now building a 1,000-language translator that lets you translate 1,000 languages in any direction using this technology because somehow these models just know how to speak 1,000 languages, which is incredible and could do so much for humanity. But it's also scary because in some respects, we're building monsters that we don't know how to control. So we need to be having a discussion about this, and a discussion has begun. And as business leaders, when you think about adding training data to these systems, you need to also consider what you might be creating and think about the risks of data that you've added being exposed to the world. It's a very, very important thing. So now, if my clicker works. Aha. And the last area of this is compute. The compute has been increasing year on year, like forever, and way past Moore's law. But at the same time, the power has been shifting from research institutions to private companies. I told you earlier about that paper in 2010. That was really the beginning of the downfall of academic research leading the way. And most research papers that have made the huge impact we're seeing today are owned by private companies. Large private companies, by Facebook, by Google, by OpenAI. And this is a concern. There is a lot of stuff happening in the open research community, but I'll come on to that later. And there are reasons for it and reasons against it. So that's sort of like a brief summary of how we got to where we were. And things are accelerating and will continue to accelerate. And we have to make sure that we accelerate this in a really ethical way and that we're thinking through what we're building and how it might impact society. So let's look at some of the use cases. There's been a lot of news recently about the bad things that generative AI is doing, but not too many about the good things. So first of all, I'd like to highlight a company based in London called Synapse. Synapse works with the deaf community, and they've built this generative AI model that makes video that's very, very fast. It's not quite real time yet, but it will be soon, that can sign to communicate messages to the deaf community. So if you're on a train and you don't hear the announcement because you're deaf, now you can see the announcement being signed to you. And I think this is just the beginning of a whole stream of technologies that are going to make the whole world more accessible for everyone, especially when it comes to language, whether that's sign language or whether that's sort of language as we know it. Another example is a product that we've built at Yepic AI called VidVoice. VidVoice is the world's first simultaneous video dubbing service that not only changes the audio, but also, I guess, deep fakes your lips. So you're speaking in a different language, and you're seeing the person you're speaking to speak to you in a different language. And you can demo this on the vidvoice.ai website if you're curious. And our mission really is to connect the world through shared language. And this is just one of many tools we've developed at Yepic AI. And the third area we're seeing a lot of work in is personalized therapy. We're seeing a lot of these chatbots be developed to try and address loneliness and mental health issues. And I think we'll see this continue to develop into the future. So who is winning right now in the AI arms race? I think one of the biggest winners is ChatGPT. ChatGPT reached 100 million users in just 2 months. But it's important to remember that Pokemon Go actually reached 100 million users in less days, in 33 days. And Pokemon Go, although it's not a transformational technology that's changing the world, made $100 million in 20 days. And as of today, is generating $2.2 billion per year. Whereas ChatGPT lost $540 million last year, and we're expecting the losses to be even bigger this year. So I think right now there is a bit of hype, and there's a lot of public talk about ChatGPT, but there are loads of other systems out there. And I think you need to peel back the hype and think about how these powers could be used to help your business. I think plugins is the right direction. The idea of connecting your data to the internet and having user inputs to create intelligent systems. This idea of super chatbots is definitely where we see this going at Yepic. And it's where we've inserted ourselves with one of our other products, our real-time video generator, where you can have an avatar as part of a chatbot that talks to your community. And we will be working with companies like Synapse to bring accessibility into this application to make sure it's available to everybody. And I think that when you're thinking about your organization and how companies like Yepic could help you, it's really important that you consider these valuable things, especially how you give data to these systems. I can't stress that enough. With the open source community, you can take lots of data and you can train your own model, but I'm almost 100% certain it's the wrong way to go. Because once you put data into a model, you never quite know where, when, or how it will appear. And the less parameters these models have, the less control you have over how they generate ideas. It's the same with AI. It's better to have a large model and to use prompt engineering and to give access to the internet. And this is exactly what we've done at Yepic. I'll come on to how we did this a bit later, but first of all, here's just a short video.
Making videos with Yepic just got smarter. We all know video creation is expensive and time-consuming. Introducing Yepic's API. Have you ever wanted to give your users the capability to create, edit, and personalize AI-generated videos within your solution? Yepic API offers a white label solution that can integrate with any workflow to provide dynamic AI avatars. Automate your video workflows today with Yepic's API. Contact Yepic to find out more.
With Yepic AI, you can create your own custom talking photos. Upload a photograph of yourself. Make sure to follow the requirements such as using a front-faced photo and avoiding shadows or hair covering your face, just as if you're getting your passport photo taken. Personalize and categorize your talking photo, entering its own details. Once your photo is submitted, it will be verified and then ready for you to create personalized videos. Hi, I'm John, and I'm a personalized talking photo.
So using Yepic's technology, any business can quickly bring their customer service team to life and can plug in large language models to actually support and help people in real time in a really personal way. And also in 110 dialects and languages. So it's really important to consider your customer. I guess in Lithuania, you guys are part of the EU. There are 27 languages spoken across the EU. And not everyone wants to speak in English. I appreciate that you're all listening to me speak in English today when I'm in your lovely country. But we really believe that LLMs have the power to connect the world through shared language. And we're building solutions just around that. And also, if you haven't tried 11 Labs already, you guys should definitely try it. It's a really cool voice cloning tool that lets you upload just a few minutes of your voice and create a very, very similar sounding voice clone. So this is sort of the future we imagine evolving. And this is the demo that we've built, where you can go and try this out right now at chat.yepic.ai, and you can talk to ChatGPT through a face. And as of next week, or possibly even today, if the team pushes it live, you'll be able to upload your photo and be the face of ChatGPT. This is just a demo to demonstrate the capabilities, but you could plug in any large language model you wanted. And this is a huge business. Virtual humans. Had you asked me 3 years ago had I asked you even if you would interact with an avatar 3 years ago, I think maybe one in 20 would have put their hands up. Can I do a test right here, right now? How many people in this room would interact with an avatar? That's a lot more people than when I asked this question a few years ago. The world really is changing, and the market forecasts also reinforce that. So I think the last question I'd like to look at, I told you there were 3 things, but there are actually 4. But all good presentations have 3, so I didn't tell you there was a 4th. But the last thing is open versus closed. And I've hit on this idea a few times, and you're probably thinking, yeah, well, you've got a business, you sell this, of course you want us to buy closed. But there are a few reasons why I think you should use proprietary models and not open source. But first of all, I'm going to tell you the reasons you should use open source. I'm going to start in reverse. So the space is moving extremely fast. Since Facebook's Llama model got leaked, there have been huge developments because people haven't had to train these models from scratch, which is very expensive. They've been able to build on top of this work. And the work, within 2 weeks, they had a model that was 20% better. Within a third week, they had a model that was almost as good as ChatGPT, with just $300 spent on training this model, using the pre-existing model that they had. So this is not a laughing matter. The fact that someone can get to 90% of the quality of ChatGPT in just 3 weeks is extremely powerful. But like I said earlier, when these models have a smaller mental space to work in, they become harder to control. It's easier to put up roadblocks in a larger model. And you'll see this in the big quality difference between GTP4 and GTP 3.5. There's a huge difference if you've used both of them. And I like to think of this as like Stability AI going to OpenAI's coffee farm and taking the processed coffee and then taking it to start their own coffee shop. But in the Stability open source coffee shop, all the coffee is free. Now, this is great. Everyone loves free coffee. But at some point, the coffee runs out, or people get a taste of the coffee from OpenAI and they want a better tasting coffee. So then Stability has to go back to these big research labs and take what they've built and train models and try and catch up. And it's a continuous game of chase that open source, I believe, will never, ever win. And Imad will hate me for saying this, but I really, really believe they'll never win. And the only way you can win is to grow your own coffee farm. And I really, really hope that the open source community can do that, but there's no coordination like there is at these big research labs. OpenAI, 135 people, but they're achieving more groundbreaking research than anybody else. So I really do think it makes sense to put your flag with a company that's moving fast rather than trying to save money and open source. And when you do open source and you don't steal the data sets, there are numerous court battles at the moment about this, you get quite poor results. Like these videos have Shutterstock's watermark in them. They're all generated anew, but the whole data set had Shutterstock on it. So when you train from publicly available data, the results are a lot worse. By contrast, the video I'm about to show you is from our friends at Runway ML. Runway ML is generating text to anything video. They're not very good at humans talking, and that's not really the model's focus. So they're not a competitor, but they are a partner in some respects. And now look at the quality of this next video compared to this.
In a world of glamour and intrigue where nothing is quite as it seems, one chance encounter leads to a night of unforgettable adventure and romance.
The music, the atmosphere, it's like stepping into a whimsical dream.
Care to dance and make this dream even more enchanting, madame?
Featuring stunning dance performances, unexpected twists, and a touch of feline elegance. This whimsical and captivating romantic comedy set in the glamorous 1930s era is sure to sweep you off your feet.
This night just keeps getting more and more peculiar.
Well, they do say that curiosity killed the cat. But in this case, it seems to have given it a double life.
From the visionary creator of Taste of Duality comes a movie that will leave you spellbound and craving more. Get ready to experience the magic of The Great Cat Spy. A celebration of passion, humor, and the pursuit of the perfect romance. Coming soon to a screen near you.
So everything you just saw there was AI generated. It was made with, well, there's more. Everything you just saw was AI generated, made with Runway's new product, text-to-video product called Gen 2. And the text was made with ChatGPT, the script. The voices were made with 11 Labs. And it's not hard to imagine how far this will be in 6 months from now. You probably noticed lots of mangled hands and faces, but the only thing that was done by humans in that video was the editing. The audio was generated, the sound, the music was generated. We really are moving into a whole new era of creative communication. And at your company, I think you need to be thinking about how you can creatively communicate with your audience. And if you're interested in talking to me about how Yepic can do that, or any of our friends and partners that are part of NVIDIA's network, we would love to talk to you more. So thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you for listening. And if anyone wants to contact me, please get in touch. Oh, and I have one more request before you go. Can I take a selfie? Smile, guys. Brilliant, thank you.